Welcome, everyone, to today's show. A boomer and a Gen Xer walk into a bar, coming to you from the Rabbit Hole Studio, where you, as our listeners, will experience some wit and wisdom, some smartassery, and a mother and a daughter questioning, are we even related? My name is Jane, and my co-host is my daughter, Bobbi. And for the next several minutes, we're here to entertain you. Hello, Bobbi.
Hello.
So, the topic today has got you already drinking.
I had to pregame.
She had to pregame. She's tailgating down there. She has a pretty stiff drink in front of her.
Second drink.
Oh,
yep.
My goodness. Is it your second drink?
It is my second. It is very stiff.
Very stiff. Man. So the topic is really going to kind of push you over the edge. Do you have your emotional chicken there handy?
My emotional support chicken, yeah. He'll probably leave me too.
Clap this. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So our topic for today is going to be kind of red flags and deal breakers in relationships. What? Yeah. Oh, she's taken another drink already.
I mean, I see red flags. I think it's a circus, and those are my clowns. So.
You don't have to claim every clown that comes into your ring, Bobbi. I mean, I know that you think you do, but
not
you
my
don't.
circus, but I know those clowns.
I know those clowns, and I think I've dated them.
Yes.
So, what do you know what the difference is? We'll see if you know what you do know, and maybe why you have so many failed relationships. But hey, listen.
God, okay, Dr. Phil,
So
please.
Listen, no, I got no room to talk. Right? Until I found my man, I have had some major situations and major failures. So my picker has been broke for many, many, many years.
It's genetic.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
One more thing for you to blame me for.
Both your girls, our pickers are broke.
You can say this at my funeral. It's my mom's fault. Because you're going to be blaming me for everything else like you do right now. Yeah.
Funeral party.
Yeah. At the big potty down. So the difference between a red flag and a deal breaker. So let's talk about red flags in relationships. What do you think a red flag is when we talk about relationships?
What the definition is overall, or what is a red flag?
No, what's the definition of a red flag?
Okay, it would be something that would cause you to be on alert for other red flags to know. I mean, basically it's where you draw the line.
This is where she fails in relationships.
I am 2 drinks in. Okay. So it would be something that would just alert you to, hey, maybe something, that I'm not going to want to tolerate 10 years down the road is happening here.
Yeah. So a red flag in a relationship really is kind of a warning sign indicating, potential problems, as you said, either now in your current relationship, or maybe it could rear its ugly head later on in life. And so
that's because we overlook them at first because, we want to be with this person. And then after 5-10 years, it's hard to overlook anymore. And you saw it in the beginning. You just didn't want to face it.
Why do you think that we overlook those red flags? Now, this is whether you're male or female.
Because we're desperate to be loved by somebody else rather than just giving our love.
I think sometimes that is probably true. We have this fear of being alone, right? And are we going to be in a relationship? And do we really find that person? And is this our one person? And am I being too critical with this, this thing that I think is a red flag? Maybe I'm just being too critical. And so we do tend to tolerate more from people that we've just started dating. And women are notorious for this. Psychologically, we always think that we can change them.
We can fix them like Bob the Builder. Get together, ladies. We have a construction crew.
Okay. You might want to back off that drink down there, Bobby. I'm just going to say that. Okay?
We only got a 20-minute show. Let's go.
Let's try to hang tough and stay on the rails.
Time.
So we always think that we can fix them. I think there's some men that see that too, but women are notorious for that. We can fix them. We can change them. And it isn't a matter of fixing them. They're fixed. I mean, they are who they are.
Right.
And women call it fixing them because they are not what we think, we envision them to be, or what we envision them to be as a partner, life partner.
We see their potential and not their reality.
Yeah. And I think men, on the other hand, overlook a lot of that stuff.
The red flags in women?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they overlook a lot of those. So what about deal breakers? What would be a definition of a deal breaker?
Something that would end the relationship post haste.
Yeah, that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? It's a non-negotiable issue that really could lead to ending the relationship. So what do you think some of the common red flags are that people see?
Oh, other people. Okay. I was worried we were going to be diving in already. Okay.
No. Her eyes just got really, really big.
I got sober real quick.
Yeah. It was like, oh, am I getting a shot? What do you think some common red flags are, Bobby, that people kind of probably see or maybe they overlook?
I think that one big one is instability.
In what way? You mean like job-wise, or do you
job-wise, home-wise? If they have kids, they're not stable in their kids' lives. They kind of have a revolving door of friends that they don't really have, but like maybe one friend that they can hang on to because people just keep coming in and out of their life because of what they're choosing to do. Things like that. Just the instability of it all.
So that's kind of really a lack of commitment. That's a lack of committing to being there for your family. It's a lack of wanting to make sure that you're doing the right thing for your family, whether that's holding a job, being home, taking care of the kids, like you have to take care of the kids. And how many times have you heard one of the spouses, or not even a spouse, a person in your relationship say, oh, I'm babysitting tonight?
Oh my God, that drives me nuts. If they're your kids, you can never babysit them.
Right. And
Don't be an idiot.
I've heard people say that, I can't. Tell the other guys, I
wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm babysitting the kids tonight. Have you ever heard that, Dr. Domain? Did you use that term?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So if one of your friends called you and said, hey, let's go out and go clubbing. Let's say it was in your younger days, because if you did it now, you'd just be the old man in the bar.
Creep. Red flag.
But, if somebody called you, did you ever say, I can't, I'm babysitting tonight?
No.
No.
No one trusts me with their kids.
No, your own kids.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's say.
I'm babysitting. I'm watching my own children?
Yeah.
Yes. Would you call that babysitting?
Use that term, I'm babysitting my kids tonight?
No.
You've heard guys say that, though.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
With their own kids.
With their own kids.
Yeah.
Why would you ever use the term babysitting with your own kids?
Yeah, not that exact term. No, I wouldn't say that.
I've heard that exact term.
Why?
Yeah,
That's weird.
I would say Dr. Domain say like, oh, sorry, I have the kids. I can't go out.
Yeah,
I have my kids
Yeah.
for the weekend.
Yeah.
Not I'm babysitting. No.
I think in all fairness, though, that is a common phrase that we hear from the male population. I don't mean to pick on the male population, but the male population does utilize that term. If they are watching their own kids, they say, no, I'm babysitting the kids tonight. That is a very, very common term that we have heard over the years. And I think every woman out there would agree with that. And if they don't, well, then they...
I don't know. I've never heard that. No.
Bobby, you have.
I mean, so when you use the phrase, when you use the word babysit, it sounds like that's
other people's
That's like an
kids.
employable role, right?
No kidding.
You pay someone to watch your kids.
God love you.
He's
you
just
get
catching
it.
up.
He's catching up. You got
Thank you.
That's what they're saying is they're using the term as a derogatory for watching their own children, caring for their own children, as I'm babysitting my these kids or my kids. Or,
yeah, and women say, how are you babysitting your own kids?
Yeah.
We watch our kids every single day. We don't call it babysitting.
No.
I've never said I have to babysit my kids. You know, I have had...
well, you have, as adults, you've had to babysit us.
Yeah, no. As you have me.
Yes.
No, I have had to say, you know, I need to go find my kids, but...
That was only after a week.
That was
fine.
only, yeah. Well, it took a little while to realize.
But no, I mean that is a huge red flag. Is, like I said, the instability, like you said, the basic lack of commitment to what they have created, whether it be children, a family, a job, house, whatever. Just the complete lack of commitment and instability of it is just a huge red flag.
So that's a big red flag for you.
Oh, for me? No, I thought we were talking in general.
In general. I guess. Okay. In general. So another one would be controlling behavior. You know, if a man's or your significant other has a controlling behavior. Now, it doesn't just have to be a man. I use that term because, I'm the female in the relationship.
It's the do as I say, not as I do mentality, where I can go out to the bar and hang with my friends, but you can't because I don't want you to.
Yeah. Or I can come home late with no excuse, or not call, but don't you dare do it.
I can not call you for a week straight, but don't you dare not pick up my phone call.
But there's some more things other than that. I mean, I've seen women in some pretty darn controlling relationships, and they weren't married to these people. They could have walked away. You kind of have to ask yourself, why aren't you? And psychologically, what happens is we get into this cyclical situation where we want to get out, we don't know how to get out, so we stay in the comfort of what we know, and we know this type of behavior. You become comfortable with it.
That's the better the devil you know than the one you don't.
Yeah, and so they get fearful of leaving.
But did you know that so there's lots of different forms of abuse, and that is a huge red flag that I would never put up with. But there's like financial abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. Financial abuse is a huge one for women, especially because of the traditional roles that, men kind of think that, oh, I'm going to go make the money, you stay home. Well, then they have financial control over that person. And it takes an average of 7 times for a woman to leave a relationship that has some sort of abuse going on. 7 times, just because of the control, the power, everything that's held over them. And so I don't blame the people who stay, but I do always question their circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, especially if they're given an out, and the most dangerous time in a woman's relationship is when she's planning to leave, because that is the time that the most violence happens, the most murder happens, things like that. And so I can't sit here and say that I blame people for being in these relationships once they're in so far, but it goes back to the red flag thing. They were there at the beginning. You chose to ignore them, and now they're an issue.
Right.
Regardless if they hid them or not,
right.
There were signs.
Right. So what do you think about, and I see a lot of these memes out there where these women are really kind of gold diggers trying to get the guys to pay for, not only that dating them, but hey, I need you to buy me a car. I need you to pay for everything, pay for my rent, pay for all of this.
I don't understand that.
And it's sad. It really is sad to see. So when you talk about how somebody has financial control or financial superiority over you, a lot of people put themselves in that situation because they like being taken care of.
I would like being taken care of, but I mean, I think that's such bullshit where people are like, oh, you got to buy my car and you got to pay for my nails and you got to, pay for this and that. It's like, I don't get it because I don't need any of that. Like, I pay for my own shit and I heard
some women talking on a podcast the other day where they really expected these guys to drop some big cash on them just to take them out the first time. I mean, big cash. Like, not only do you take me to the highest priced restaurant, you better be driving a Bentley or
and having
something.
a dozen roses
And you better have all that.
chocolates.
And you better buy my outfit. And then you
Okay,
better take me shopping. And then when we're all done, I'll decide whether I'm going to stay with you. And I thought, holy crap, no
That's
wonder you get no
insane.
respect.
Like, take me to Taco Casa. We'll sit on the back of the pickup truck tailgate and people watch while we eat dinner.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sometimes we set ourselves up for failure when it comes to those sorts of things. So controlling behavior is one red flag. Poor communication is another. Now,
huge.
with that said, though, women are just as bad as men. Women are just as bad as men when it comes to poor communication. Let's face it. Men do not communicate like women do. They do not think like women do. And we know that our minds are totally different. And so if you want to communicate with him, you can either expect him to conform to how you think, good luck with that, or you can conform to how he thinks and how he communicates and how he receives that message. And that's psychology 101. You have to learn what people's behaviors are, how they communicate, how they transmit their information from what you say to what they hear. And so, I think that's a two-way street as far as I'm concerned.
But I think poor communication goes way beyond that. I think poor communication goes where you can communicate to somebody all day, but unless they listen and understand, what's the good of communication? I can talk at you all day, but unless you're willing to understand and actually listen to what I'm saying and make, if I need changes from you, make changes, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just blah, blah, blah all day. Now, if I tell somebody, hey, this is how I feel, this is what I need this open communication. I need to hear from you, once a day, saying, hey, what's up? And they choose not to have that communication, even though you told them, and then get mad at you about it. That's no.
Doesn't that kind of get down to honesty? I mean, if you're going to tell me through your communication that, hey, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it because I want our relationship to last, or because I want to be totally transparent with you, it really kind of gets down to honesty.
It does, because anybody can say, oh, yeah, I'll always tell you the truth, or I'll never lie to you. And the whole time they're lying out of their damn ass.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
And you don't know it, because how are you going to prove it unless you look like a psycho?
And you kind of go, why? Why are you lying?
If I asked for it up front, just
why
be
are you
honest.
lying? What? I mean, who are you answering to that you've got to lie?
Yeah.
I mean, just tell me the truth.
I'm not that big of a prize that you need to be lying to me about shit.
I'm not on the top shelf.
Like, I'm just saying is all.
You are, Bobby. You are the first place.
I'm a participation trophy at
no,
best.
you're not.
At
You're
best.
You're a big trophy.
And the sport
that
doesn't even go with
anybody
the trophy.
would be proud to take home. Stop it. So, what about emotional abuse? You kind of mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, any kind of abuse.
Yeah.
Any kind of abuse. I don't care if they start out where it's in fun, like poking at you type of thing, but they know that it bothers you because you've communicated to them, hey, that really bothered me, what you said tonight.
Yeah.
And they continue to think it's funny, or any type of abuse like that. That's abuse, and that's manipulation. Period.
And I think you have to be careful with that, because we'll say that I damaged some relationships with that. I have a very cutting, witty tongue. I'm very fast to think of smart ass things to say back. And, I mean, this thing runs like,
there's times I don't think before I speak, and we're all I'm surprised at what comes out of my mouth.
I mean, my mouth runs like a finely tuned Briggs and Stratton motor, this engine. It's like, gosh darn, this thing can go. But I have ruined relationships or contributed to that where, you start out kind of just bantering with somebody.
Right.
And it's all funny. And it's kind of fun, and you think, oh, we love to banter. And because Dr. Domain and I banter back and forth, too.
And I think that that's healthy. Like,
I do, too. But we've talked about this.
Bantering.
We've talked about, don't cross that line.
Right.
Let's not cross that line, because I, unfortunately, and in past relationships, the people I've been with have crossed that line.
But did they make that line known to you before you crossed it?
I think we should have known. I think they were pretty obvious with how we were bantering.
So they did make it known one way or the other.
It got to a point where we were insulting, or we were, and you think it's funny, but it's not funny to them, especially when you're doing it in front of other people and it's hurtful to them. And so, that can be kind of an emotional abuse also.
Yeah. And like I said, any kind of abuse off the table, period.
So let me ask you this. We will all agree that a man should never strike a woman.
Never.
Never?
Well, self-defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about woman striking a man?
Never should happen.
Never should
Unless
happen.
it's in self-defense.
Exactly.
Keep your damn hands to yourself.
Exactly. I don't care who it is. You have no right to lay hands on anybody. If you are a woman and you lay hands on a man, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Don't come running to me going, that's a man. He should have never hit a woman under any circumstances. She should have never, ever raised a hand to him. No. I agree with you. If it's self-defense, hey, all bets off.
His hands are rated E for everybody.
Yeah, I'll take you out. But if it's not, and you just feel like you want to slap him, you want to punch him, you want to hit him with something, just turn around and walk away.
Just leave.
Quit
Literally,
running their mouth.
Get your shit and leave if it's to that point, because it's never going to get better. It's never going to get better if that's the mentality that you have, that you think that you can put your hands on somebody just because they made you mad.
So what do you think about that, Dr. Domain? Domain from a man's perspective. Do you think that if a woman slaps a man, that he has a right to slap her back, or
stabs a man?
Yeah, it'd have to be pretty extreme. Even if I got hit, I'd restrain myself. But there's a lot of boys out there, I'll call them boys, that you hear of incidents where they'll raise a hand first. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they deserve an ass whooping.
Yeah,
man, boy does. Yeah.
But
there's no excuse for that.
I
don't care how abusive, how loud or boisterous or that woman is. You don't do that.
I guess like I said, if a woman goes after a man and attacks him, she needs to be taken out behind the barn.
He has every right to defend himself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She needs to be taken out behind the barn and have her ass whooped.
No, probably not. Yeah. But one or two good hits would probably calm her ass down.
Yeah. No, and so,
depends on the situation.
We may differ from some of our listeners in this respect. And if we do, we'd sure like to hear from you. Because I feel like it's a human issue, not a male-female issue.
Right.
I think that it's a respect for human beings. I think it's a respect for their personal space. And I don't think you ever have a right to do that to someone. And like Bobby said, if it's self-defense, I'm coming after you.
Yeah. So let's talk personally. What's a deal breaker for you?
I would like to say what do you think is the top deal breaker that
for you?
No, for everybody.
I'm talking for us. Let's get personal.
He's talking about you, not what you're reading on the internet.
For
I'm
me,
2 doubles deep. Let's do it.
Okay, for me, I would say dishonesty.
Okay, does that encompass dishonesty, lies? That would include cheating, things like that?
Yeah, I would say infidelity, because infidelity, and that's where I was headed with that, is the number one reason relationship breakdown. Any type of addiction is number 2.
But going back to that, I mean, infidelity and dishonesty are mutually exclusive.
Right.
You would hope that if someone's going to cheat on you, that they're going to be honest about it. But usually that doesn't go hand in hand.
No,
well, right. That's why it's called cheating instead of...
That's kind of the double whammy, right?
Yeah, it's lying. But I guess
there's lying and there's cheating. And there's
cheating to me is lying.
Here's the
it's
thing.
Different, right?
It wouldn't be cheating if they weren't lying about it.
Yeah.
So if they were being upfront and honest about it, saying, hey, I'm going to go sleep with this girl, then that's more of a polyamory type thing, because they're being honest about it. So if they're cheating, it's literally they're lying about it.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So I kind of grabbed the whole thing and said, honesty. If you want to go be with somebody else, just tell me.
Yeah, just go.
Just tell me.
Go.
And then I can make a decision to leave.
Right.
Now, if I make the decision to stay,
then that's on me.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Right. But if you tell me and I decide to go, now the ball's in my court.
Right.
Okay.
And honestly, if you actually say that you care about somebody, honesty should be number one, because if you don't give me the opportunity to do what I'm going to do with that information, then you really don't care about me.
Right.
If you're not going to be honest with me and say, hey, it's this, this, and this, and I just want to be upfront about it, you really don't care about me, because I can take that information and I can use it how I see fit, because it's my life, whether I go, whether I stay, whether we talk it out, whatever. You have robbed me of that decision in my life, which is a huge decision, which means you don't care about me.
Totally agree. Because I think I should be able to make that decision on my own behalf. Yeah. And the thing is if I don't get the opportunity to make that decision, now my safety is at stake.
Correct.
And that's a big deal.
It's to the point where they're using you. They know what they're doing, and they really don't care about you if that's what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about Heinrich's psychological pyramid,
Heinrich.
Safety is your number one factor, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so you want to protect yourself. And if somebody says, hey, I want to be with somebody else, okay, let me make the decision on what I'm going to do with me.
Yeah. So do you have any more deal breakers?
I would say, what that leads to, obviously. But if somebody's totally dishonest with me, if somebody said, hey, I'm going to the store, and they don't go to the store, that's one thing, right? I think there's some severity here. If somebody said...
But why are they lying about going to the store? If that's such a stupid little thing to lie about, then obviously
maybe
they're going to lie about big shit.
Maybe they're getting them a gift.
Maybe they were getting...
Yeah.
No, I think that there's a little bit of condition there. And I agree with what you're saying, because if you're going to lie to me about the little stuff, the big stuff isn't going to be that big of a leap.
It's almost like practice lying to you about the little stuff.
If I can hide think of what else I can hide from her. And I think the honesty thing is really kind of the big deal that is all encompassing for me.
Okay.
If I ask you, who were you talking to? And you tell me it was Bob, and it wasn't, it was Barbara, and you were making plans for Friday night, that now you're into other issues.
So your major one is dishonesty, that you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours?
That's a tough one, because
I want to say both breathe hard.
Well, I want to say cheating, but honestly, it's not just lying, but it's lies by omission. Lies by omission, I guess lies, period. But lies by omission just make me want to choke the person.
That's part of honesty.
Like, why? Yeah, but like, why?
Why did you leave that part of the story out?
Why did you just not say anything? Why did you avoid it when I asked you? Why did you why lie? Like I said, I'm a participation trophy at best. Yeah, I got a great heart and I'm a good person, but why would you lie to me?
You know what? You belittle yourself, Bobby, and you shouldn't do that, because
I'm a little shiny. I'm just at the wrong sport.
Well, you may not be the sharpest tack in the box, but you do try to be the shiniest. You're better than that, so stop it. Stop.
Okay, look, I'm
down.
like 0 for 9 for relationships in my life. So
the
swing and the
picker's
miss
been broke too.
It has been. I've been moved from even the minor leagues. I'm down in like AAA at this point.
Stop it. You don't have to be. It is.
No, I don't, because I'm done. Cut it off.
What about you, Dr. Domain? I mean, what's your total deal breaker?
So not a red flag, a deal breaker.
A deal breaker.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything that's new. Probably infidelity, dishonesty, those kinds of things.
Okay. So,
but it leads to, it could be really powerful, the dishonesty part, to the point where it gets rationalized and they make excuses and
sure.
And it's your fault. Makes you feel like you're crazy.
I experienced that firsthand. There's a condition, I wasn't aware of it, but I learned about it and I studied a lot during my experience, and it's called limerence. And it's where that person becomes not loving of another person, but, infatuated. It's more that.
Like a lustful.
It's not necessarily a mental disorder like, other things, but it's probably could be a mental disorder, but they rewrite history. And I had some really weird examples of that. And, with the person you've been with for decades, you're like, yeah, that's totally different now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very unique experience. But they become so compelled and they become so obsessed with the fact that they're engaged with that other person that they rewrite history and they totally make things up and they believe it.
My kids do that.
They make it up. I mean, they totally believe
do.
it. They will lie.
Alzheimer's.
They'll lie to their own children.
Oh, I know.
And it's sad.
The
it
thing
really
is they get to a point where they believe their own lies.
It was the hardest part was hearing the lie to me. That's different but once you lie to the children, that just like, that takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah, but I always thought, okay, so, and I'm not just shush over there because I ain't coming after you. But growing up in a divorced home, the number one thing that I noticed that both parents did was lie to the kids. I mean, they always lied to the kids. Everything's fine. We're going to be happier. You're not going to have to do this. You'll have 2 Christmases. It'll be great. Blah, blah, blah. Everything was lies to the kids when it comes to that kind of crap. I said,
sit down, shut up, and no one likes you anyway.
Again, I'm undiagnosed for a reason. Jesus,
I'm kidding.
But you don't need to divulge every level of detail.
No, but I think that Bobby has a good point, and you and I talked about that too, Dr. Domain. Is when your kids hit a certain age, acting like somehow they're still living in Never Neverland or in some pipe dream is not good for those kids. They have to start being able to.
The age is 6.
Yeah, but you don't unload on.
I'm not saying
it's not about unloading, but don't lie to them.
You don't unload on them by any means, and you don't need to tell them all the details.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to be honest in some respects. So one of the other things, but I wouldn't go so far. I wouldn't give them all the detail, and I think we agree to that. Yeah,
because it really, you're talking about their other parent, right?
Yeah.
The child's parent.
Yeah.
I'd never be demeaning or disrespectful to the other person, despite how they might have done that to me. Yeah. I wouldn't reciprocate that, especially to the children.
Well, I did.
I was going to say, oh man, I did. It was a shit show.
First one,
let me tell you.
The first one, after that, no.
Well, yeah, because you only had kids with the first one.
Right.
So, I mean, it was, and we were young. Well, I was young. And, it's funny you say that because me and my sister, we were savage. I mean, we were savage. And I don't know if it had genetics, whatever, but, my sister and I, we used to fight when we were little. And I would look at her and say, well, you're the only reason my parents got married. And she goes, yeah, well, you're the only reason my parents got divorced. Savage.
That's really hurtful right there.
We laughed about it. We still laugh about it.
Okay. Well, that might be part of your
Trauma
problem.
makes us funnier.
And then you wonder why you're 0 for 9.
Listen.
Just saying. So,
one day someone will love me.
You know what, Bobby? There's a lot of people who love you. So stop it. And
not like that.
That kind of person. Well, that person just hasn't, reared their ugly head yet.
Jesus. I almost choked.
They haven't stepped into the circus ring.
Bless your heart, Dr. Domain, because I'm telling you, I'd have drowned her by now.
So one of the other things, I mentioned was addiction. That's tough on everybody.
Yep.
And, and
it's not just drugs. We're talking, pornography addiction, gambling addiction, things like that.
I've mentioned before, that I have a degree in social science and studied psychology. And
you have mentioned that? How many times?
9,000.
Like 6?
And I don't remember anything. As it relates to it. But we all have some sort of addiction.
Yeah.
We have some sort of addictive behavior, whether it's eating, whether it's lying, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's,
social media personality.
Now, what changes for everybody is when our coping skills kick in. What level do our coping skills kick in? Some are very low, some are very high. And so some people never, see that another person's addictions because they don't hit that threshold. And but addictions are very tough. And I personally, and people are going to disagree with me on this one, and so be it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, this will be a tough one. A lot of things that are considered addictions or illnesses or diseases, got to be honest with you folks, they're not diseases. Those are choices. Let's quit calling them diseases when they are choices.
Okay, I'm going to call you out on that. So okay. I believe in the beginning, it's mostly a choice. I have known people that have been forced to take very addictive drugs like heroin and things like that, like forcefully injected. I think that at first it can be a choice, but after that, the way that it alters your body and brain chemistry, I believe that it does and can turn into a disease, like an actual legit brain eating, you have less gray matter than you should disease.
I think it becomes an addiction. I do not believe it becomes a disease.
Well, we'll differ on that.
Yeah.
We'll differ on that.
And then, the other thing is significant misalignment of values.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Even before you get married, people are not sitting down having conversations other than, do you want kids? Yeah, I want kids. Oh my God, I do too. You're not talking about religious upbringing. You're not talking about schooling. You're not talking about things like sports and family. And
how are we going to fight?
Right.
How are we going to raise our kids?
What's it going to look like when we fight?
Agree when the kids, when we have a disagreement with the kids?
And are we going to back each other? These conversations?
No, they don't. They're too busy worried about, having a $50,000 to $100,000 wedding and where they're going to go on their honeymoon, as opposed to how are we going to handle our finances?
Right.
Who's going to work?
Right.
What difference does it make?
What if we have a medically fragile child? Who's going to stay home? Right. How would we face
what
this?
If I become
medically fragile?
Yeah. What if and now you're my caretaker?
Yeah.
I think a lot of those things do not get discussed. Religion, Dr. Domain and I have talked about that before. Would we be with someone who was a Satanist or someone who is an atheist? The answer is no.
Right.
I don't care. They can be as nice as pie. They can work at the soup kitchen. They can do whatever.
But your religious views have to align.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot associated with that.
And people think they can just work through this. Like, oh, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the bridge is here and now because this should be discussed. This should be talked about. A plan should be in place before you two ever think of continuing your lives together.
Because a lot of things come into that, jealousy. We didn't even talk about that. Anger management. How do you handle your, I have a bad temper. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I wonder where I got that from. Yeah.
And, the thing is when I was younger, it was really bad.
Yeah, it was.
And, I've learned to control it now. And a lot of it is, if I don't have a dog in the fight, I'm not getting into it. But before I would go to every fight I was invited to.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to be invited. But there's just, so many other things that come into this. What is gaslighting? And we've all done it. Let's not act like
I gaslight myself every day. Like, that's the only way I can get up, get out of bed, and go through my day. I gaslight the shit out of myself.
But when there's infidelity and dishonesty, manipulating someone to doubt their own sanity,
it's crazy.
It's pretty common.
It's a sociopathic trait.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And so then, when I want to go back here to the infidelity part because
you're stuck on it.
No, because you brought it up and asked me,
Lord.
And the fact is I have been in that situation with one of my divorces.
Yep.
I'm just going to share this. I don't think I've shared this with a lot of people, but I'm going to because I want people to think about this and I want our listeners to think about this in case you're going through it. I went through it, caught him in a situation. I'm a pretty strong woman. There's no doubt about it. It isn't about how strong you're perceived by society, what kind of job you have, how much money you make. It has nothing to do with any of that because people will go, oh, but you're so strong. You're so courageous.
You're so brave.
You're so brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. So I caught him in a situation and I made the decision to stay and go through counseling.
Yeah.
Worst decision of my entire life. And let me tell you why. I stayed for 5 years before I found out he was doing it again. So let me tell you why that was a bad decision for me. Because when somebody cheats on you, when somebody lies to you, when somebody is dishonest and they have lost your loyalty. Now, I'm a firm believer that you have to be trustworthy in order to gain trust.
Yeah.
So you have to display those characteristics. If you want those characteristics in another person, you'd better have them yourself.
Right.
And so you have to be totally trustworthy. And I chose to stay for 5 years before I found out that he was doing it again. That 5 years was the most miserable time period I had ever had. Every single day I woke up regretting my decision, even though I had gone thinking, I want to save this marriage. I want to go through counseling. And I had to ask myself at some point, do you want to be an investigator in your own relationship?
Do you want to have to do that?
Because every single time he got a call, I'd think, is that a woman?
Yep.
Every time he got a text, I'd think, is that another woman?
Yep.
Every single time he was late.
Yep.
I'm
is
thinking,
he with
where is
another
he?
woman?
Where is he?
Yep.
Every time he'd come home late and he'd say, oh, yeah, I got a flat tire or whatever, I'd think, did you really?
Right.
Every time he told me a story, every time something came up, I was questioning my sanity.
Torture.
It is the life of misery.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, do you want to be an investigator in your own relationship? Right. And I chose to be for 5 years until I found out that it was happening again. And then I left permanently. Right. But, I want you to ask yourself, now I am not advocating divorce. I want people to stay together. I definitely.
If it's that bad, go for it. I mean,
but you know what, Bobby? Don't get married. But don't get married if you think you're going to get a divorce.
Well, why would you get married thinking you're going to get a divorce?
Some people do. Some people think, if this don't work out, I'll just get a divorce. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
What's the divorce rate in the United States, Bobby?
So right now, as of I guess it's 2024, the divorce rate is still between 40 to 50% for their first marriages.
Holy cow, for their first marriage.
Glad I got that one out of the way.
What about the second marriage?
I don't know. See, you asked me this earlier. I have no idea.
That's high.
I have no idea.
That's high. That tells me that people are entering into a marriage, not thinking through everything and thinking, if all else fails, I can get a divorce.
Well, I mean, 75% of respondents, when they asked why they were getting divorced, cited a lack of commitment as the leading cause of divorce. So I'm assuming that would encompass like emotional withdrawal, avoiding conversations, lack of goals. Like we talked about, you don't have your shit together and in line for what your future looks like. Right. And so you're going to fight about it. What are you talking about while you're dating for those however many years? And you should date for many, many years before you ever get married because, let's face it, think about all these people who have been married for 20 years and they find out that she's got another home on the other side or that he's the Green River Killer.
Yeah, or something.
Type of shit. That would be kind of, I mean, if you're going to find out something, that would be kind of.
That would be a weird show right there.
Would be, I could be on Dateline.
Oh my God. Listen, don't say
I would
that.
fangirl out over that. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm on Snap, y'all. Watch me.
Well, I want people to think about this and think about what we talked about because, if you're in a relationship, cut them some slack, man, and, communicate well and understand how they communicate. And they're not, we talked about it before on how men communicate as it relates to how women communicate. Not, we talked about your son.
Right.
Not looking him straight in the eye because men don't like that. And
yeah. And honestly, the only thing I have left to say is, look, if you're going to be abusive, if you're going to cheat, if you're going to lie to somebody, just freaking leave.
Stay to yourself.
Just leave. Go find some other idiot to deal with that actually likes being lied to or something. But, there's people out here that are honest, trustworthy people who have good hearts that you are just playing and screwing for the next person.
Yeah.
And I'm over it.
If you can if you can find a mate that, loves you and supports you and, is there for you and
one day. I got better luck of finding leprechaun or gold in a leprechaun's ass than I've got that. But okay.
You're what?
I said I've got better luck finding gold in a leprechaun's ass than I've got
Are you digging for gold?
I mean, I might as well be if I'm digging for a relationship. Anyways, I think that is all the insanity that we have for today.
Wow.
We appreciate you joining us here at the Rabbit Hole Studio. Be sure to follow us. We look forward to spending time with you each and every week. Please like us, and if you have positive feedback for us, or if there's a topic you'd like to talk about, drop us a short email at boomerandgenxer@gmail.com. If you have hate mail, well, you can throw that right in the garbage with my ex. So until next week, I'm Bobbi Joy.
And I'm Jane Burt.
And you're stuck with us.
Peace out.
Later.